This is Gemara Sanhedrin Daf Mem, and as we begin a new parak, Baruch Hashem, we once again like to dedicate all the learning for this month, the month of Teves, as an incredible schos, Aliyas Neshama for Rav Leib and Rav Ya'akov V'Siyata D'Shmaya, the Koyach HaTorah, the Koyach of Talmud Torah, Keneged Kulam, should bring an incredible Aliyas Neshama to Rav Leib ben Rav Ya'akov. We're holding on Mem Amud Aleph, and really pick up from Daf Lamed Zayin over here, which is the continuation of the procedure, what is done in Bezdin in capital crimes. Says the Mishnah, they would examine the witnesses, Besheva Chakiros. 7 questions. Number 1, Be'iza Shavua. What 7-year period did the crime happen? Be'iza Shana. He's a Chodesh number 3. Bekama b'Chodesh number 4. Be'ez Yom, what day number 5? Be'ez Shah number 6 hour. Be'ez Makayim. And what was the location? Rav Yossi Yomer, Be'ez Yom, Be'ez Shah, Be'ez Makayim. Makirin Oisam. Excuse me. Rav Yossi says, Be'ez Yom, Be'ez Makayim, Be'ez Shah, Be'ez Makayim. Says the Gemara, Makirim Atamoisai. Do you recognize the victim? Hisratem boy. Did you give him asra? Then they would continue. They would ask, in a case of avodah zara, in a case that one is testifying against one that worshipped avodah zara, they would ask, Esmi avad, ubama avad. What did he worship? What was the idol? And with what did he worship? Kol hamarbe b'vedika, says the Mishnah. Any bezdin, any dayon, which increases the number of bedikos, of supplementary questions, harei b'shubach, such is praiseworthy. Maisa ubadak ben Zakkai ba'uksei te'enim. Says the Mishnah, the story with Ben Zakkai that he examined concerning the stems of the figs, proving the Gemara that there is a maila in continuously asking more and more questions. Continues the Mishnah, Ma bein chakiros lebedikos. You've been saying that there's chakiros and bedikos. So says the Gemara, what is the difference between the two? What is standard? What is supplementary, etc. Continues the Mishnah on the first white line. When it comes to chakiros, the standard questions, if one of the Edom says, I do not know, automatically his Edis is bottled. Whereas, whether one or two say they do not know, the halacha is still Edusad Kayames, their Edus could stand. And both of them, if there's a hachasha, if there's a clash, if there's a contradiction between one another, the edus is batal. Continues the Mishnah. But what happens? And they're quabbling and arguing about what was the precise date of the month. Says the Mishnah, Eidusan bit kayemes. Says the Gemara, again, a world without calendars. So the fact that it was one day off could be one knew it was a leap year, a leap month, and one did not. Then Eidusan betila. However, if one said it was on the Shloisha, the 3rd of the month, one said it's on the 5th of the month, if there's a 2-day discrepancy, then Eidusan betila. Continues the Mishnah. One said it was after 2 hours. One said it was after 3 hours. Then Eidusan kayemes. But so there's a margin of error that is allowed to be had. Rav Yudah Eimer kayemes. Why? So even in this case, Rav Yudah would be maskim, because of the vast discrepancy of where the sun is, it's harder to chalk up the difference between the two Eidim. Continues the Mishnah after we ask question number 1, then we bring in the second aid and we cross-examine him. If they both say the same thing, then what? Then we begin with the one who is lizchos to acquit. If one of the Eidim said, he usually lomad of zchos, I have what to say. Mashtikin Oisai, Amar Echem and a Talmidi, Chos. Then, if one of the Talmidim wants to introduce us Chos, Malin Oisai, Mashivin Oisai, and we sit him up top, and he able to stay up there the whole day. And if what he's saying is good, Shaimim Lai. We've listened to him, as long as that what she's saying has substance. Continues the Mishnah, v'ematzu la'ischos patrua, and then if they find the schos, says the Mishnah patrua, they automatically acquit. V'imlam mavirin, if they do not find the schos, they postpone the din taira to the next day. Oisai limachar. Umizdavgin zugais. What would they do? They then would pair off, and they will limit that which they ate. No wine all day. They would deliberate all night. So one that is mizaka, the one who's arguing that the person is innocent, says, what? I said he should be acquitted, and I maintain my position. So who originally said to chayva he could change his chos, and yochel achzor v'lomoid chayva. To b'davar shnei savrei deyanim maskirin zeh. To b'davar, if they made a mistake, shnei savrei deyanim maskirin zeh. So then they remind them, imatzu la is chos patrua. V'im lav, then what? I'm din leminyan. Then they're going to take a vote. So it says the Mishnah, what happens when they vote? Shnei masr mizakin v'echad asr mechayvin. Let's say 12 said he's innocent, and 11 said guilty. Zakai, one extra vote could have quit. Shnei masr mechayvin, but shnei masr mechayvin v'echad asr mizakin. 12 versus 11. And even if there's 11, 11 and 1 doesn't know. 22 how many extra dayanim do you need? Shnayim, you add on pairs of 2 add shim v'echad, so we get to 71. Shloishim v'shisha mizakin v'shloisha v'chamisha mechayvin. So then if they get to 71 and it's a 36 versus a 35, Zakai. Shloisha v'shisha v'chayvin v'shloisha v'chamisha mizakin danu elu can I get elu adshira echam min v'chayvin tirim mizakin. They have to convince the other in order to paskin that the person is mutter, in order to quit him for the crime. Says the Gemara, the Mishnah began with 7 standard questions. So Menon immediately where we know this from Rav Yehuda Damarka says the Torah v'darshachal v'shalta eitiv v'yoimer v'luchav v'shamata v'darshta eitiv v'yoimer v'darshu ashayvtim heima ve'ima chada. We turn over to Mema Amid Beis. Says Mara, wait, ve'ima chada kidachsif. Maybe it's one. Maybe each of the 3 cases only requires one of the questions. How do you know that you're asking all of them to all cases? Says the Gemara, you know why? Dim King, because if that was the true, lechtavu rachmana bechada. But kivan de bekulu ba'di adadi ksiva mahadri ulef ivalfi v'kivan de alfa me'adadi keman tersev achada dami. Says the Gemara, v'olo damia lahadadi, but they're not exactly the same. How could one chiyuv be learned on the next? Says the Gemara, ir ani dachas anichtarti loy dami yoshkim nimoinam polat al avodah zara lahanach tarti lo dami yoshkim esayif edim zaymin lahanach tarti lo dami yoshkim tzichan asra. So says the Gemara, each case has something unique about it. So how can we learn one for the other? Answers the Gemara, behetev yalfina an eadadi. Gzeira shava, mufna, the extra words are there. Tilay mufna, kavevchlei afnuye mufna. Midahavale, the michtar v'darshiv v'chakru. Says the Gemara, Should have said Darshu Chakaru. Vishani Kra and the Pasik switched. B'diburoi behetiv shmamina lafnuye. So we see that it must be open, and therefore you can make something off of that. Says Gemara, wait. The classical limit of the Gemara. Very good. You're proving to me in one way it's extra, but that's only one way. Who bish? Tavle mechtav el irni dachas my avle mechtav el siva irni dachas oksiva kulu hasam nam yavle mofna says Gemara why avle mechtav droish sidroish oicha kor tachkor shnei krav dibura behetiv shma mina lafnuye for the fact that it says Rasha v'chakarta. The interesting double lashon shows us that lamaisa it is mofna. Continues the Gemara on the end of the first Y line after we've figured out the 7 questions. Says the Gemara, Va'asu nechnokin b'kal v'chaymer. Those who would give chanika strangulation would come with the kal v'chaymer miniskalim. Minahargin miniskalim minahargin. Va'asu nisrafim b'kal v'chaymer miniskalim. So what exactly is this kal v'chaymer that we're talking about? Says the Gemara. Then that makes a lot of sense. But Ella says the Gemara on the third Y line, Ella Rav Shimon Damar, Sreva Chamura Michael Meimar, Ella Amar Rav Yehuda, V'hine Emes Dachin, V'hine Emes Dachin, Achad Srei, Sheva El Sheva Chakiras, Tal Tlasik Zer Shava, Bashlu Chad, there's only 1 week left. Le Rav Shimon Lasuye, what in this Rafim, Le Rabbanan, coming to include the nisrafin. So therefore, really, we don't need it. But once the Torah went out of the way, we go and rewrite a pasuk for it as well. Says the Gemara, Ravua jumped up and said, "No." Maybe it's coming to include the 8th chakiros. Because says the Gemara, Alma loy v'galasu v'kama shav v'taninami achi haybaykin aisay v'shmana chakiris 8 chakiris. So says the Gemara, Hani chalaman damar. This is good of what? I'll leave it there on Mayor. That what? Amar ein adam tayev eloy klom. Lachlisha nami damar adam tayev mashu shapir. Alabaya leave it there of Yehuda damar adam tayev chatzi shah. The Rava damar tayev inshi tuva Michael. Meimar says the Gemara. Elo la'asui become a yovel hainu. What year of the 50 year cycle? Is the Shavua el la'asui is the yovel. Ve'edal kiman da amar is the shul. Is the yovel. Pick it up from here. V'siyata d'shmaya.